We're back in this the 3 weeks. It's the Bein HaMitzarim. It's the time when the Jewish people reflect upon the poor decisions that were made that ultimately led to the downfall of the Jewish state, to the downfall of Zion, to the downfall of the destruction of the Beis HaMikdash and the exile of the Jewish people. And it hurts to think about because Jewish life requires a Beis HaMikdash. There's 613 mitzvos. And I'm pretty sure that if you don't have a Beis HaMikdash, you don't have Zion, you don't have Kohanim, you don't have korbanot, you don't have Leviyim, I'm pretty sure that we can't fulfill even around 100 of them. I think it's about 90 or so that we can actually do. So if we want to be good slaves to God, it takes a temple. And so we cry about what we lost. And we hope to recall the poor choices that we made so that we can unlearn them and then do the right thing to rebuild the Beis HaMikdash. I want to tell you a midrash about the Churban Beis HaMikdash that helps you to feel the pain of it, to help you pray that much harder for the rebuilding of it. It's a midrash in Eicha, and it goes as follows. That there was a mother who was the mother of a ben tishchores, of a young boy, v'meis, and the little boy died. It was a tragedy in the town. And it happened in the same town as Rabban Gamliel. Rabban Gamliel was the one who said, after the destruction of the second Beis HaMikdash, Rabban Gamliel reinstituted and resat as the Sanhedrin and opened up the Jewish courts again in the town of Yavne. So I'm imagining here the midrash is happening in the town of Yavne. But Rabban Gamliel is sitting in his house, he's learning Torah, and in the next door there's a mother who's crying about the death of her son. When Rabban Gamliel hears the crying, Rabban Gamliel began, as he heard to hear the crying, he began to recall the destruction of the Beis HaMikdash. And Rabban Gamliel cried together with this sorrowful Jewish mother. They cried together. Sounds like this happened nightly, until eventually Rabban Gamliel's eyelashes began to wilt and fall off, and the Talmidim noticed that that was problematic for his health. So Amdu Ufinu Oso Mishchenuso, they moved the Jewish lady away from Rabban Gamliel. But what I want to talk about today is, where did Rabban Gamliel see in the sorrowful and tear-filled eyes of a Jewish mother crying about her son, where did Rabban Gamliel see in that destruction of the Beis HaMikdash? I always thought that the connection that Rabban Gamliel had was that when you feel pain, you want to channel that to the source of the Churban Beis HaMikdash, and you want to feel bad about it because this is what incites the pain. But that's not the understanding. Rabban Gamliel, what was paining him, what he saw, said Rabbi Lezevnik, is that he understood the root of so much of our pain is from the fact that we don't have a Beis HaMikdash. Ramzu Beis HaMikdash, the hint that he heard from the mother was that if we had a Beis HaMikdash, we might have the perfect Jewish life, so we wouldn't have to suffer like this. We'd have the schusim to get our job done, and we wouldn't maybe have to lose children. Rav Gamliel saw that if we had a Beis HaMikdash, we would have the clarity. We would have the clarity, the mindfulness to see God, so the tragedies would be that much more palatable. But when you don't have a Beis HaMikdash, when you don't have the clarity of being able to see the smoke rising on top of the Mizbeach straight up, you don't have the clarity to be able to see the Leviyim on their steps singing. You don't have the clarity to be able to see the Kohanim doing their avodah. You don't see the miracles of how the meat never spoiled. The fire, no matter how much it rained in monsoons and absolute torrents, it would not extinguish the fire of the Mizbeach. You don't have the clarity to see the Beis HaMikdash, so the pain is that much more painful. Because it's harder to comprehend. You daven for the Beis HaMikdash because you want to serve Hashem properly, but if you want to feel it, know that if you had a Beis HaMikdash, you may not have to suffer because you might have that much more of a perfect Jewish life, a perfect Jewish commonwealth. And if you had a Beis HaMikdash, even if you did have the pain, even if you couldn't build the business, struggled in Shidduchim, didn't have the child, struggled with raising kids, if you had a Beis HaMikdash, at least you would have been able to see that Hashem's taking care of you and that there's a larger plan here and that there's something going on behind the scenes. But without it, we mourn in darkness. We mourn without a real sense of why. So daven in Shmona Esrei for the rebuilding of the Beis HaMikdash, so your pain will go away. Daven Yerushalayim Ircha, daven Ritzei, daven V'sechazena. The parts of Shmona Esrei that we often just breeze through. Es Tzemach David, the flowering of Hashem's commonwealth, daven, so that you'll have this chusim that you need to be able to not suffer. Daven Because if you had the Beis HaMikdash, you'd have that much more clarity, and the struggling would at least be a little bit more understandable.